So this is the Pixel 6 versus the Pixel 6 Pro. In this video, I'm going to help you decide which one you should be getting, or at least try and help you nudge you in the right direction. So let's get right into it. As far as hardware and design, you're getting a very similar phone here, just small, subtle differences. So both have that glossy glass design, that two-tone colorway. They both have the same exact camera bump, just with that one camera lens missing on the Pixel 6, which we'll get into later. But you get different colorways you can pick from. So if you get the Pixel 6, you can choose from the sort of seafoam, the kind of coral, and the stormy black. Pixel 6 Pro, cloudy white, sort of sunny, and stormy black. So different colorways you can pick from, and also the glass used on the back is just a little bit different with Corning Gorilla Glass 6 on the Pixel 6, and then Corning Gorilla Glass Victus on the Pixel 6 Pro. Both have Victus on the front. Does that make a difference? Not really, because at the end of the day, I always use a case, I always use the skin, so always has that extra protection, or I can change the colorway later on in the future if I wanted to. But hardware, you get USB-C to charge on both phones. You get the power button and the volume rocker pretty much in the exact same spot and in the exact same location, so not much of a difference. And they're both going to be just big phones in general. So Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, not much of a difference when it comes to size. So if you're into big phones, it's a little bit tougher to choose from. But if you're into small phones, the Pixel 6 series, just in my opinion, is not right for you because they're both just big phones. They also have dual speakers, which are pretty loud. I will say the Pixel 6 Pro sounds just a little bit more like bass heavy, just a little bit more in depth compared to the Pixel 6. I wouldn't say it's a bad speaker at all, but just a little bit subtle of a difference that I noticed. And both phones are IP68 water and dust resistant, which is great. So you can take them for a splash and they'll be just fine. The design of the Pixel 6 Pro also has like a glossy design on the sides versus the Pixel 6 that has a matte design on the sides. Does it make a huge difference in the day? Not really, because again, you can use a case and you can cover up those sides. At the end of the day, both are very, very similar. Both feel really good in the hand. Both are very comfortable. If anything, I would describe the Pixel 6 Pro as feeling and looking more premium versus the Pixel 6 that just feels solid. It just feels right. So it's hard to decide between either of those. I like the curvature and the feeling of the Pixel 6 Pro, but I also like how solid the Pixel 6 feels. So choosing between design and hardware, they're very similar that it really doesn't make a huge difference which one you would go for. As far as displays, there's a bit of a difference here. So you're getting a 6.4-inch 1080p 90Hz display, flat display on the Pixel 6 versus a 1440p 120Hz curved display 6.7-inch on the Pixel 6 Pro. In real data life use, does it make a huge difference? Just a little bit. Honestly, both displays are great for watching videos, just using them with the big screen, for playing games, browsing around. Both of them are smooth, both of them are sharp, both of them look clear. They both look good. They're both very usable in the sun. They're just perfect displays. But the Pixel 6 Pro just has that extra crispiness to it. I don't know why. Like, it just looks a little bit more sharper, a little bit more, clearer, just looks a little bit better. And then also, it's a little bit smoother compared to the 90 Hz of the Pixel 6. It's not a huge difference, but for most people, the Pixel 6 display is the perfect base display. Like, honestly, this is what every display should at least have at the minimum. 1080p with 90 Hz. If you want some extra bonus, some extra crispiness, extra smoothness, the Pixel 6 Pro does have that extra 120 Hz, has that extra quality, it's 1440p. So yeah, it does look a little bit smoother, a little bit more sharper, but not a huge difference. I definitely think the Pixel 6 display is more than enough for a lot of people. They both have that punch hole cutout, which honestly does not get in the way at all for any of them. And then they both have the same exact fingerprint sensor. Both are improving over time for sure over the updates. I haven't had a huge, issue with them. I think they've been pretty good. They're not the fastest, but they're already pretty fast, so I think it's perfectly fine. And they're also kind of unreliable sometimes. It's a hit or miss, but again, over time with updates, they're definitely getting better. As far as the curvature, it's up to personal preference. Personally, if you use a case, you're not going to have a huge difference when using a case with either of them because the curvature will take care of that, accidental touches. But if you're not using a case, then yeah, accidental touches do sometimes happen. I don't know, just the premium looking feeling of the curvature of the display looks nice, but it's all up to you. Personally, I'm going to choose the Pixel 6 Pro display just because I like the extra sharpness, the extra smoothness, and I can handle that curved display. It's just perfectly fine. So displays, though, overall, they're very, 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 very similar, but the Pixel 6 Pro just a tad bit better. So as far as day-to-day usage and performance, you're going to get the exact same performing phone here. Only difference is that the Pixel 6 Pro has the 12 GB of RAM, Pixel 6 has 8 GB of RAM, but they're both running the new Google Tensor chip. So both of them are going to be great when it comes to fluidity, just overall performance. It's going to be great on both of them. Calls, everything, your day-to-day stuff, your daily activities should theoretically all run great. Now, there are specific niche bugs that are still happening and they're subject to change with future updates, which is actually an update supposedly coming along in the next week or so that it should fix a lot of issues that people are having. So with Android 12, there's just been a lot of bugginess, a lot of issues happening. But at the end of the day, it didn't ruin my experience. It's just like specific niche, specific apps that are having issues. So for me, for example, Rocket League was a new game I was trying to play, was not working on the Pixel 6 or Pixel 6 Pro. YouTube Studio, DJI Fly app, occasional multitasking crashes and weird glitches, just small things that would happen throughout Android 12 that only pertain to specific things that you were trying to do. But most of the time, your daily stuff all worked out to be just fine for me. Like I could, browse social media, play games that did work. I could watch videos with no issue. It's just when you try to do a little bit more stuff that occasionally a bug would come along. So, which is a bad and a good thing at the same time, but at least both of them are experiencing the exact same thing versus one experiencing all the issues versus the other not, which is a good thing. I guess you don't want that because that would be a little bit more annoying knowing that someone getting a Pixel 6 would have a really good performing phone, no issues, no bugs, versus someone gets the Pro and it's full of bugs, So it's a good thing that both are having the same issues and both should be being fixed with future updates. But that also means you're getting the same features. So the Google Tensor Chip and Android 12 bring new features along. So Android 12 allows you to do the whole Material You, which is fantastic. I think it's really great. I like seeing how well it just changes up my theme of my phone to match up the wallpaper of my phone. It just looks really nice. It's really aesthetically pleasing. So I think it's really nice. Material You is great for people who like to have that aesthetically pleasing device. So for me, I like that. So I think it's great. There also is Live Translate for the whole translation stuff on your phone and talking and stuff like that. I think is all pretty great. Useful for people who need that for traveling, people who speak two languages. I think it's great. You also have speech to text, that great recognition when you're just talking. So making it easier to talk to your phone, to send messages or also use like other stuff. So for example, the Google answer machine, the screen calling, I think that's fantastic. I love using that. So robocalls are no longer an issue for me because they just automatically get answered by the Google Assistant and they take care of it for me. I also like doing it to my friends sometimes, or people who call me who I know. I'll screen call them and see if they would actually leave a message or talk to the Google Assistant. Half the time they always hang up, by the way. So it's pretty funny to see, but I like using the screen call as well. There's also the feature of double tapping on the back, so that gesture, be able to bring down the notification panel, or you can have it do other stuff if you really wanted to, like open up a certain app or do a certain action, which is pretty cool, I think, because both phones are pretty big, and this is where the difference comes in. So both phones being the same performing phone, what's the main difference? It's just the Pixel 6 Pro being a bit bigger. With the phone being a bit bigger, you get a bigger viewing angle, a bigger display to play games, bigger display to be able to multitask. Is it much bigger? No, but it's still enough of a difference that I much preferred using the Pixel 6 Pro day to day versus the Pixel 6 just because of the extra inches to be able to use your display with a bigger screen. So that's really the main difference when it comes to it. There's not much of a difference in other stuff like calls, texting, all runs great. Service was all good. I was using Mint Mobile, so all my service was fine. 5G, there's supposed to be a difference between the millimeter wave and the sub 6. I didn't notice a difference. I don't even know which one I was using. Probably just sub 6. But yeah, all that was great. It really just came down to if you wanted the bigger display or not. So the bigger display for me, day-to-day usage was great. But if you prefer a smaller display, just stick with the Pixel 6. There's not much of a difference, but again, just a little bit smaller. But overall, pretty much the same. But I prefer the bigger display on the Pixel 6 Pro. As far as cameras, they're just small, subtle differences here. Again, always with those subtle differences. So the Pixel 6 on the front camera, you're getting 8 megapixel camera versus the Pixel 6 Pro that has an 11.1 megapixel camera. If anything, the Pixel 6 Pro just has a small edge in quality. It looks a little bit more sharper, more detail in the photo, but it's also wider. So if you like getting those wide selfie shots with a group of people or just get wide shots in general, the Pixel 6 Pro has a better wide angle front-facing camera. It also is capable of shooting 4K. So if you like shooting video with the front camera and want to be able to shoot 4K and get that higher quality, 100% would recommend the Pixel 6 Pro because the Pixel 6 can only shoot 1080p on the front. As far as the main cameras in the back, you're going to get the same 50 megapixel main, the same 12 megapixel ultra wide. The only thing that the Pixel 6 Pro has is that extra 48 megapixel telephoto. So what does that mean? That you can zoom in further. So on the Pixel 6 Pro, you can zoom in a lot further than you can on the Pixel 6, which will be using digital zoom. So, but overall, quality as far as camera, as far as shots, as far as videos, exact same when it comes to the main and it comes to the ultra wide. The telephoto, again, is the only difference on zooming in on videos and photos will be the main difference between both of these cameras here. But overall, it's same quality. Honestly, they both look great, but if you want to be able to zoom in, get the Pixel 6 Pro. And you also get the same features in the same modes. So the Magic Eraser is found on both of the devices, Action Pan, Long Exposure, Photography, both are found on each of the phones, so you're not losing out on any kind of features except for those extra hardware camera capabilities, which is found only on the Pixel 6 Pro. Camera on Snapchat is also improved. So if you like the improved quality on Snapchat, whichever one you pick, you're going to get improved camera quality on Snapchat. Again, the only difference is you can zoom in further on Snapchat just because it'll use that main or that telephoto that's found in the Pixel 6 Pro, which in my opinion is pretty cool. But overall, camera quality is great on both of them. Just again, that's zooming in if you want to have it on the Pixel 6 Pro. As far as battery life, both are perfectly fine. Both are great as far as the experience is battery life. The Pixel 6 does have a smaller battery, like a 4,613 milliamp hour compared to a 5,003 milliamp hour. But it doesn't make much of a difference just because the Pixel 6 Pro have a higher quality display and a bigger display, so it has to run more juice out of that display. But overall, it's an all-day battery life, whichever one you pick. And they both have the same features as far as like adaptive charging and adaptive power battery. Like both features I have turned on and they work great for the most part. So they both have that issue that when I lay them on my charger overnight with adaptive charging, some mornings I'll wake up and they're not fully charged, which can be annoying. And then cable charging, not the fastest. It's fast when it goes from like 20 to 50 or 70% battery life. I would say like 30 to 40 minutes. But after that, it does take a little while for it to get the fully charged. So not the fastest and craziest charging speeds, but it's plenty good enough. And you also have wireless charging, as I already mentioned, because I usually use wireless charging with adaptive charging overnight. And you also have reverse wireless charging. I didn't use that, but it's there if you need it. So overall, battery life has been great on both phones. So whichever one you pick, you should be getting decent and good battery life. So to conclude, should you get the Pixel 6 or the Pixel 6 Pro? Is it really worth an extra $300 for the extra lens and then the better quality display? Honestly, no. I think the Pixel 6 is the perfect everyday phone for a lot of people. Good camera, good quality build, good display, good battery life. It's perfect. But if you need those extra Pro features, then by all means get the Pro. Personally, I'm going with the Pro. That's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed.